What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live here on a Thursday, and not just any Thursday, Eric. It's the first day of the first round of the NCAA tournament, so we're going to discuss some of the action that has already gone on today. We only have one NBA game for picks against the spread, so it's going to be a super light segment in that regard. So it gives us time to talk about things and then get back to watching some college basketball, which I've been watching all day since about 9:15 in the morning. Eric, how are you enjoying this first day of March Madness?
Oh, it's been fun. It's always one of my favorite days of the year, this and tomorrow. And yeah, it's just fun waking up early and watching games all day. And it's also St. Patrick's Day, too. So happy St.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. You're wearing green, too. I'm not wearing an inch of green at all, but nobody's here to pinch me. We'll take the donos in a sec. I already lost a Final Four team, so, it could be a little bit better. Iowa let me down. We'll talk about that game after we get through picks against the spread, and maybe I'll get to my rant first, because I'm definitely going to rant in this one, and you guys already probably know what I'm going to rant about. Thank you to Sherwin. Our guy Sherwin, Eric Ignacio, $5 dono says,
Here. I love Wheezy, but before you read this is a tweet from someone, directly copied from someone. So,
I think I already know who it is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sherwin Ignacio, $5 dono. This isn't your take. I'll let everybody know that so they can still respect you. He says, here's the thing. I don't think Chet is the right player for Portland. He's going to be good, but probably a couple seasons from being what you need him to be.
Wheezy just spent $5 to read off that person's tweet.
Bro, but okay, why is that not the case? I'll talk about this in a sec, okay? I have to wait. I just really want to freaking talk about this, okay? Because I've been ranting on Twitter. Shout out if you follow me on Twitter, and if you don't follow me on Twitter, what are you doing? And if you don't follow Eric on Twitter, what are you doing? Because our tags, we put the Twitter tags in our name, so there's no more excuse to not follow us on the Twitter. Thank you to Zach for two $2 donos that both say the same thing. That's interesting.
He said send twice or something.
Interesting. He says Chet shouldn't go in the top 7. He's too skinny. Yeah, that's another one of the takes probably that's been seen out there. I know you saw some bad ones today, Eric. You guys already know what the rant is about. But before we get to that, we got to jump into the picks against the spread standings. These are from the previous day, so you can kind of see how things change here as I put in today's standings. Everybody had a good day last Monday, Eric. Worst record was 5-5. So, Trevin put in work. He moved from 7th to 6th, passed up Zach with an 8-2 day. Zach went 5-5, unfortunately. Eric, you're getting very close to 500. You went 7-3. Congrats. Me and Jackson 6-4. Jackson's into a second place tie with Chat. You guys went 7-3 as well. So a good day for all of you. Connor, Zach, and Krish only went 500. Everybody won their double downs except for me and Zach. Of course. I was the one who had the curse at the beginning of the season. Zach's the one who has the curse now. And maybe we can make the double down records look a little bit better. Anyway.
And since there's only one game, we're all just going to double down on this game.
Yep.
So this counts twice today.
Yep. So no double down screen or anything. This is the game. Let me just hide the, I didn't switch over the up next graphic there. There's no more games up next. There's nothing. You just have a tank off on the first day of the NCAA tournament. I think it's quite fitting. You have the Detroit Pistons going into Orlando and taking on the Magic. Teams are separated by half a game at 18-51 and 18-52. The Magic at home are a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, so the Pistons are setting out Cade Cunningham, Jeremy Grant, Hamidou Diallo, and I think Frank Jackson is still out. And the Magic are sitting out Jonathan Isaac and Bol Bol, of course, along with Chuma Akiki, Jalen Suggs, Wendell Carter Jr., and Markelle Fultz is still on the 16 to 18 minute restriction.
Okay, there's your chat poll. I hate that we have to double down on this game. But since it's the first day of the tournament, I got to roll with my guy, Jalen Suggs, Eric. I got to go with the Orlando Magic.
You didn't hear me say he's out?
Did you say he's out?
Yeah.
Is he out? I missed his name. Never mind. Screw the Magic.
I said Grant is out, Rohan.
Is Olynyk out for the Pistons?
No, he's playing, it looks like.
I shouldn't have said that because now I have to go Pistons, don't I? So who's actually playing then? Because Grant's out, Cunningham's out. You said Frank Jackson is out, and then you said...
Hold on a sec. I'll get you the starting lineups.
Because this is a very important game, Eric.
I know.
Magic for Trevin, Pistons for Zach.
All right. The Pistons are starting Corey Joseph, Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey, Marvin Bagley, and Isaiah Stewart.
Okay.
And let's see, did Magic have their lineup here? I thought I saw it on here. Where are you? It's way down there. The Magic are starting Cole Anthony, RJ Hampton, Franz Wagner, Mo Wagner, and Mo Bamba.
2 Wagners and 2 Mo's in the front court.
Yeah.
I'm still going Magic. Because Jalen Suggs is still on the team, so. Shout out Connor, $20 dono. He says... They're just parroting Chet hate in the dodos, man. Connor with the $20 dono. Appreciate you, Connor. He says, white guys can't play basketball, so Chet is a mid-first in my eyes. Guys, I have to wait until I start ranting about this, okay? And I've ranted about this before, but today pissed me off, and I'm still annoyed at twitter.com, okay?
I'm taking the Magic as well.
All right, Eric on the Magic train. We're waiting on Connor, Jackson, Krish.
Krish took Detroit.
Krish took Detroit, which is not that logo. It's that logo. Trevin says he'll double down on the Pistons. I mean, we could make it interesting like that. Does
someone want to go 1-1 for sure today?
I feel like everybody would want to go 1-1 for sure because this is an ugly game. Nope, this is a 2-0 or 0-2 day, guys.
Yeah.
What if they push? That would be phenomenal. I hope Orlando wins by 3. Connor goes Magic.
Who's Von Neuer?
Wagner?
No, Sherwin says Von Neuer spitting, but he meant to say Connor, but he spelt it with a V and 2 O's and 1 N. It was just kind of weird.
Zach corrected Connor's tweet. It's not white guys, it's American-born white guys. That's the argument I've heard.
Left that out, Connor. Disappointed.
Yeah, it's always the American-born ones. If Twitter is right, Chet and Murray dropped about 8 to 10 spots in the draft, and we're going to talk about both those guys, all right? I won't be too hard on Keegan.
Jackson here.
I guess not. Chat's at 50% for this poll, so I'm going to wait until it changes. Right when it changes, whichever team I see is higher is who wins the chat poll. So, chat, we need one more vote in the chat poll for one of these 2 teams. You decide it all. If you haven't voted yet, you can decide it all for chat. Jackson can, pick a game tomorrow if he really doesn't want to pick a game today, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, man, that's not fair. We're going to have someone pick for him if he doesn't.
Or we just make him go 0-2. Detroit Pistons for chat.
No, I don't.
Or we just make him go 1-1. Anyway, I mean, if Jackson comes in and picks this game, he does. But that's what you got, and these are our double downs for today since there's only one game.
Since Wheezy was the only non-mod to donate.
Wheezy, you want to pick for Jackson?
Pick for Jackson, and if he doesn't pick in time for the game starting.
In the next 3 minutes, basically, yeah.
Yep. Are you messaging him?
I'm posting in the group chat. Okay. Oh, wait, no, I don't know the tag of his burner because he only has his burner in there. Anyway.
Oh, well, he's in the mod.
Alright, let's see what Sherweezy's going with. And then we'll jump straight into this rant, alright? Yeah, I'll straight. Let me think about how I'm going to start this off, though. Alright, I can sit here while we wait for Jackson. Sherwin says that's too much he says that's too much pressure, but F his record, Detroit. All right, so Jackson's going with Detroit. Split vote. All right, there we go. Jackson, Chris, Chat, and Zach is Detroit. Me, Eric, Trevin, and Connor are Magic. All right, that's what it is.
Jackson via Wheezy.
Yep. Jackson via Wheezy. At least it's only one game that he's missing, but it's not hard to send your picks. Anyway, that's done with. Shortest segment of picks against the spread ever, but it should have been even shorter than that. Should not have taken that long for one game. But, okay, so... it feels weird transitioning to, like, talking about something else this quickly.
So, I'll set you up. Okay?
Yeah, set me up.
There was... several prospects that played this morning. We'll talk about Keegan later. We'll talk about Jalen Duren later. Those are the main guys, other than one Chet Holmgren. And during the game, there was, I want to say, like 100 different responses and tweets, especially to one Chad doing, concerning Chet. Possibly people saying that he's not even a first-round pick. They wouldn't touch him in the lottery. He's not going to be anything in the NBA. Like Sherwin said earlier, he's not going to be good for several years, so you can't play him.
Yeah, that was said by somebody else. That was Sherwin parroting somebody else's take.
So what do you have to say about that, Tori? A white American-born center cannot be good in the NBA. He is going to suck.
Some of their arguments.
He is injury prone, and he's going to be too frail to ever be anything in the NBA. What say you, Tori?
Dude, I really want to cuss right now in this rant. I'll keep it family friendly, unless you guys really want me to not filter anything. But, so, okay, Chet Holmgren's stat line today, all right? So all this hate, right? All these people watching this game and being like, oh my goodness, Chet looks terrible apparently. This was his stat line today. 19 points, 17 rebounds, 7 blocks, 5 assists, and 2 steals, 8 for 13 from the field. Like, I know he's playing against a very small 16th seeded team, so like, yeah, he should have a good game, but he had a freaking really good game. For the most part of this game, he was the only player rebounding, he was the only player playing defense for Gonzaga. Gonzaga sleptwalked through the first, like, 2/3 of this game, and then went on, like, a 20-0 run and put it away, right? I don't understand, like, I don't understand how anybody can hate on Chet and say he's not a lottery prospect, not a first-round prospect, any sort of crap that you saw today. I don't know how somebody can watch this game and decide that, and watch this game and that's their takeaway. They're coming up with that opinion because of other things, and we can go into those other things, but they're ridiculous things that really piss me off. I'm sure, chat, you guys know, you guys can guess what those other things are. But it's basically Chet's too skinny is one of them. Okay, let me go into that. Chet's too skinny. Okay, if you haven't watched him play, he's in the thumbnail. Like, people say he's too skinny. Right now, yeah, he's skinny.
He is skinny, that's true.
But he could be this skinny and be a solid NBA player at the 4. Mm-hmm. He's not a 5 right away. He's a 4. Are we really worried about, like, Jay Crowder posting him up and backing him down? Are we really worried about Royce O'Neal posting him up and backing him down? How many power forwards, starting power forwards in the Western Conference, are we worried about physically abusing Chet Holmgren? That's the thing, is the NBA, a lot of power forwards now sit behind the arc and shoot threes and then try and attack off the perimeter. It's become a perimeter-based game. Power forwards back in the 1990s, maybe a little bit different story. But in today's NBA, at the 4 spot, which Chet can play because he can shoot, he can slide his feet on the perimeter, he's fine at the 4 in the NBA right away, even with how skinny he is. You know, he might get out-muscled for a rebound here or there, but, I mean, you're not allowed to just shove through somebody's back if they box you out. That's a foul. Here's the thing about the weight thing, though. Giannis, at the same age that Chet is now, was pretty much just as skinny as Chet is. Okay? Why do people act like Chet Holmgren cannot put on weight, Eric? Why do people think that the weight room, like, have they never spent any time in a weight room? I don't understand. Because it's like, I'll bring up the Giannis comparison, how Giannis was just as skinny as Chet is now when Giannis was his age, and it's, oh, don't bring them up in the same sentence. I'm not comparing them as freaking players, man. It's like funny because people, in order to hate on Chet, will ignore the context of a conversation. I'm comparing their physique. At age 19, age 20, Giannis's physique was very similar to Chet's. He is just a little bit shorter, and then he grew a couple inches, right? Now, Giannis today is a freaking beast, and he's absolutely ripped, right? I don't think Chet will get there, but the whole point is players all the time come into the league very skinny. Remember how skinny LaMarcus Aldridge was? LaMarcus Aldridge was extremely skinny. He put on weight. Anthony Davis was extremely skinny. He put on weight. Giannis Antetokounmpo was extremely skinny. He put on weight. All those players became somewhat strong.
I mean, the Durants and Aldridges and stuff, those guys weren't as skinny as Chet, but they were skinny. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the dude is going to be able to add strength. Zach Collins came into the league very skinny. You look at Zach Collins now, Zach Collins looks beefy. Okay? I am far less worried about Chet Holmgren putting on strength than I am with other prospects developing skills, which I think are much harder for them to develop than somebody putting on strength. Okay? But, like, he doesn't need to put on strength to be effective. He's dominated all year. He's 7'1" with a 7'7" wingspan, can dribble, can shoot, can pass, great instincts as a shot blocker. And somehow that's not going to translate because of strength in today's NBA? Are you serious? Are you kidding me? That's people's takeaway? That's as casual as it gets to have that sort of takeaway.
As Rohan said earlier, if Chet was from Europe, he'd be the consensus #1 pick. Because people, I think that's the difference between him and Giannis is people think like, oh, he didn't start playing basketball till late, or, maybe the weight training facilities he had weren't as good as he would have had in America. So I think that's why they are a little harder on Chet since he's from America, is that they feel like if he was going to put on strength, he could have already been starting to do it or whatever. But
I mean, yeah, I guess, but it's like the dude's, what, like 1920? I think his birthday's right around this time of year. I think his birthday's in May, so he's like almost 20. The dude's still a teenager. Like, there's been a number of American players that came into the league very skinny and put on strength. And it's just absolutely ridiculous that people think that he can't do that. It pisses me off, man, because it's like, I feel like the people who say that, their opinions lie somewhere else. And I've heard people legitimately argue, oh, it's a white American-born big man, when do those work out? And then, like, to confirm that bias, they'll be, oh, he's way too skinny, he's gonna get pushed around.
Well, All Good said he was at Moda Center today, saw Chet hit the ground multiple times. Amazing he didn't shatter into 1,000 pieces like people would have you believe.
Who said that?
All Good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, he hit the ground hard like 2 or 3 times, just kind of fluky plays where, like, his legs got hit out from underneath him. Hit the ground hard and popped right back up. I've watched that dude play all season. That dude is tough. That dude will fall hard and just, it's like nothing even happened. He'll fall hard where it's like, ooh, like even if it's a big dude, if Nurkic hit the ground as hard as Chet hit today, it'd be like, you wouldn't expect him to get right back up right away. And Chet's just like, it's like, it doesn't even faze him, okay? But people act like, oh, he's going to be automatically injury prone. He, because he's going to get pushed around, he's going to fall a lot, whatever. If Anthony Davis felt like Chet did today, Anthony Davis would be out for 4 weeks. Let's just be honest here. But all the narratives about him is just, it's like people that don't want to think that he'll be good, or think that he'll pan out, or think that he'll be a good pick. And it's like, because, white American-born big, I've heard that multiple times, which is actually absolutely ridiculous. The pigmentation of his skin isn't going to determine him as a player, okay? And since when does being born in America mean you're not going to be a good basketball player? Are you kidding me? Okay, so that's one of them. The second one is, oh, well, I've heard people say, oh, well, Blazer fans have PTSD from drafting Zach Collins, a white American-born big man from Gonzaga, and that didn't pan out, right? That's the other argument that I've heard that I think is absolutely ridiculous. If that was the case, then we shouldn't have drafted Damian Lillard from Weber State, because who was the person before him that was drafted from Weber State? If a player is only as good as the previous prospect that was drafted from their college, then why did we draft Damian Lillard and why did he end up being so good? Right? Like, Chet Holmgren is not freaking Zach Collins. They're two completely different players. And the fact that people, like, are so, I don't know, disturbed still and can't get over the Zach Collins pick that they are hating on Chet, which is some people, is freaking ridiculous to me. Okay? Well, I don't know.
Well, you kind of mentioned this, which was what I was saying during the game. So I was watching. Oh man, I'm blanking on his name. Who's the big center for Michigan?
Dickinson.
Dickinson, yes. So that guy was driving me bonkers because as a big man, they were playing him. He would get the ball in the post, and the guy was on his top side, right, away from the basket, daring him to turn to the basket and shoot. They were trying to bring a double from there, but it was late every time. So if he just caught the ball, sealed this guy, he would have a lay-in every freaking time, right? And it was so frustrating to me because, like, he just didn't do it, or he'd do it, like, he'd wait till the double team came to do it. And it was like, what are you doing, man? If you were good, you just seal your guy, drop step or spin move, you have a dunk or a lay-in. You could, any skilled big man would just eat that kind of coverage alive. And then, but like, he's big and like strong, right? And so like, no one's, I mean, he's not really an NBA prospect, but like, I can't teach a guy like that instinctually. I mean, you can teach that, but it's a lot harder to teach that in my mind than to teach someone like Chet, who would get the ball in that situation and do the right thing and score or pass to a teammate after the double team comes. Like, Chet has the skill set and the IQ that you don't have to teach. So all you have to do is get him stronger, right? That's literally all you have to do if you want him to succeed in the NBA, because he is smart, he's good defensively, he's skilled offensively. I actually think if he had more of a scoring mindset, he'd absolutely dominate. There were so many times he dribbles into the paint and kicks out, which is fine. Like, in college, it's probably what he is expected to do. But like, he could turn around and shoot over the top of his defender, like almost in any situation, right? And that's kind of like what Jabari does. Is Jabari has that like 15-foot jumper where he turns around and shoots it over the top of the defense. Mm-hmm. Chet could absolutely do that. I think he knows he can do that, but he just doesn't like want to take that shot. But if you like get him like a coach that wants him to shoot that, you know, like, no, that's a good shot. If you get to the free throw line and you have a smaller, like a guard on you or something, just shoot over the top of him. So like, I think he can develop those kind of skills even more. I don't think he's not skilled enough to do it. I think he's just unselfish, if that makes sense. But I can't teach like a big, strong, like you could give me the same guy, only 50 pounds heavier. If he doesn't have the IQ and the skill set that Chet has, he's not going to succeed as many times as the NBA. The percentage of him succeeding is much lower. So like, it's, to me, I'll run with the skill set of a guy like Chet and worry about the things you can control, like weight and strength and things like that, versus taking someone who's big and strong and athletic but has zero translatable skills to making that work in the NBA. And there's a million examples of those guys who, Aaron Gordon, for example, like, I know he's not as tall as Chet, but like, that guy, if he had Chet's skill set, would be the best player in the NBA or like top 5, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's just, to me, so many people just look at athleticism and strength and oh, this dude can do cool dunks or jump out of the gym or he's so athletic or so quick or whatever, but they don't like realize that not all those, like, just because you're quick or just because you can jump high. Keon Johnson, for example, right? Like, if jumping high translated to being a good NBA player, this guy would be amazing because he has a 40-inch vertical, right? Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter if you're not good and you don't have a high IQ basketball-wise, right? So that's my thing, is get the guys who know how to play, fix the things that are fixable, like his weight and strength, and you have a great player. Whereas you're just hoping with these other players. There's not many examples of it in this draft, but like Aaron Gordon, like I mentioned, is like a player where you draft him and you're hoping his athleticism turns into a good player, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas Chet, you're hoping his good skill set, he's a good player, and that turns into being strong enough at the NBA level. And that's your only concern about him. Like, get out of here if you think that that's like a risk that you do not take high in the draft, right? Because if it pans out and he gets stronger, he's absolutely one of the best players in this draft, and it's not even close in my mind.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Here's what's funny, is guys that come into the league skinnier, I trust them more playing in the NBA if they're able to put on strength than guys that are already super strong. Because you got guys, like a perfect example of this is Apollo Banchero, and this is one of my concerns with him. He's already built like an NBA player, right? But in college, you see him, he's using his like physicality advantage to get a lot of buckets, right? He's using the fact that he's bigger and stronger than pretty much anybody on the floor going against him to get buckets. And like, what happens when he gets into the league, and it's not like he should put on more weight, right? Because at that point, then he's going to be overweight, he's not going to be quick enough, he's going to weigh too much. So it's not like he should get, put on more weight. What happens when he gets in the NBA, and all of a sudden, that physicality advantage, that strength advantage, is no longer there? He's not going to be able to get those same buckets, he's going to have to be able to get buckets in other ways. Now, I think he's skilled enough to be able to figure that out, but it's like people don't knock him because, oh, look at his body, he's NBA ready. But he doesn't know how to play against people that are as strong as him and as quick as him. Because that's the thing, if he ever goes up against somebody that's as strong as him, he's probably quicker than them on the perimeter. Mm-hmm. Right? You're not finding 6'10 guys that are as strong as Paulo Banchero who are as quick and as athletic as Paulo Banchero in high school or in college. Okay? So that's going to be an adjustment period when he gets to the NBA. Meanwhile, it's like you got a guy like Chet, right? And yeah, he'll get pushed around, but he's used to getting pushed around. He knows how to use the weight that he does have in an effective way. Okay, he knows how to, and this was me in high school, because I would play against guys that were 30, 40 pounds heavier than me. I was extremely skinny, and there's little tricks that you figure out to try and give yourself an advantage. It's somebody posting up, it's putting your kneecap behind their knee and pushing their knee out so they don't have leverage on you. Little things like that, right? And then, when Chet drives, he does a good job, like, controlling his body despite the contact that he does get, despite him taking contact from bigger, stronger guys. So what happens when he does put on strength, and all of a sudden, he goes from in college, like right now, in terms of strength, he's at a disadvantage. But he has the chance in the NBA to get to the point where where against NBA guys, it's not even a disadvantage. What's going to happen then? He knows how to play without that physicality advantage, which you're not going to have in the NBA. So I don't really understand why people get so enamored with guys that are physically ready for the NBA, because a lot of times, once they get to the NBA and don't have that physicality advantage or the athleticism advantage, they don't know what to do. That's why Thomas Robinson was a bust, Eric. He was the 5th overall pick, the guy taken before Damian Lillard. Okay, 6'8", 6'9", didn't have the height to play center. A power forward, but it was like, oh, look at the way this dude physically dominates the college game at Kansas. Okay, he was very strong, very athletic. He gets into the NBA, all of a sudden those advantages don't work for him anymore, and he has nothing else to fall back on, and he's basically out of the league within 3-4 years. Okay, same thing with maybe a Derek Williams as well. There's a number of guys that got drafted because of their athleticism and their strength, and they didn't pan out because they didn't have those same advantages in the league. So I don't understand why it's a knock for a guy to be so skinny when that's, I think, been proven. The number one thing that you can fix in the NBA is you can get a guy stronger. You can't teach a dude defensive instincts. You can't teach a 7'1" guy with a 7'7" wingspan to have the agility that Chet does. It's hard to teach them to have the ball handling or, be able to read the game the way Chet does. If you could turn every 7'1" guy into a 40% three-point shooter at the college level, I mean, that would be phenomenal, but you can't. So, knocking Chet just because of his physicality, when it's literally, I think, in my opinion, or his lack of weight, I should say, knocking Chet because of his lack of strength, I feel like should be one of the last things that people worry about. Especially in this NBA when he can be just fine as the 4, and what strength he may give up, he'll make up with his length at the 4 in the NBA. I don't understand it.
And I say this about both Chet and Jabari. Like anytime you're skilled enough to shoot over the top of a defender, I feel like the bigger the court is and the more spaced out it is, the better it is for that player. So I think both of them might actually have an easier time scoring in the pros versus what's happening right now in college basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's times where I feel like Chet could look to drive, and if he was playing on a worse team, he'd probably try and take over games more. It's just like he has a lot of offensive talent around him, so he doesn't force anything. And there's times where it's like he may look to drive, but it's, he's going to drive into 3 people and try and kick out, which he can do, but, that's a little bit more risky than just running Gonzaga's offense, considering they have such a great offense. In the NBA, when he has more space, because he has the speed, he has the agility, he has the ball handling ability, it's almost like he's so big that it's hard to carve out his way through multiple defenders because he's so lanky, it's like he can't squeeze through the tight spaces that guards can. In the NBA, when things are more spread out, I expect that to be more of an advantage for him. So, he needs to add strength, but it's like the strength is the concern with him, but there's concerns with every prospect, and it's like that gets hammered home with Chet, and with other guys, any of their weaknesses just get completely ignored. Well, and I don't know why.
Like Anonymous Red says, I just can't picture Chet staying alive against someone like Giannis. Who can? Who can stay in front of Giannis? That's not a knock. Like, there's no one in this draft that could stay in front of Giannis and defend him one-on-one. There's not really anyone in the NBA that can do that.
Bro, did you guys not see the clip? Like, he drove against Clint Capella, just shouldered Clint Capella. Capella, like, flies 10 feet, and then he lays the ball in. That's Clint Capella. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the guy who knows, against a guy like this, I can't let him put his shoulder in my chest because then I won't be able to keep my balance, or then he'll have the advantage. I'd rather have the guy who's kind of slippery, able to kind of slip to the side of that elbow, stick close to him, and then block his shot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it in a way where it makes sense without showing it, but it's like big physical defenders are used to just taking all the contact and they're fine because they're big and strong. Guys that are a little bit skinny are better at minimizing the contact that the offensive player can initiate and not letting that player have that leverage. And Chet's one of those guys. So it's like if he does put on the strength where he can absorb some of those hits, and then he's good at not letting the offensive player get leverage when they drive or when they post up, he'll get back down and whatnot. But it's like he's so lengthy, he's still blocking shots at the rim. You know what I mean? It's still fine for him. You know what I mean? And Giannis doesn't post up a whole lot. Giannis is a lot of dribble drive stuff. So I don't understand what. Sorry, I just saw a Schefter bomb.
Got traded to the Raiders.
Okay. That I completely lost my train of thought. Okay, interesting.
What?
Devontae Adams got traded to the Raiders. Has
Rodgers signed that contract? Does he still want to stay?
I know. They got him to sign that contract just so they could trade away Devontae Adams. That's insane. But NBA terms for that trade. What would NBA terms for that trade be, Eric?
Two prime 2022 picks. I don't know who got. The Paul George trade. I don't know.
I feel like if the Lakers traded Anthony Davis for 2 firsts after re-signing LeBron, would be kind of similar. Do you think that's a good comparison?
Maybe.
The Raiders signed Chandler Jones, and the Raiders are doing stuff. Anyway, thank you to Antonio for the $5 dono. He says, Chet's passing is impressive along with his willingness to get physical and finish plays under contact would be the ideal as the 4 next to Dame. I agree. I mean, defensively, he's the best pick in this draft.
I bet Dame's going crazy right now. But yeah, like people. Oh, we don't have anyone good over 6'6", right? Mm. And now we want to start we want to get like a 7'1" prospect with a huge wingspan, and it's like, no, don't like him.
Dude, it's just like, well, people just love Jabari, man. And I like Jabari a lot, too. He's top 2 with Chet. But it's like, I wonder what these people that love Jabari have seen other than Jabari hitting jump shots that have gotten them to fall in love with Jabari.
Well, here's the thing.
Because it's not people that seemingly have watched a ton of them.
I mean, I'd be fine with anyone who says, hey, I like Chet, because I'm kind of like this too. But, like, I like Chet a lot. Would absolutely not hesitate to take him number 2, right? But I like Jabari a little more. That's fine. But that's not what people are saying. They're like saying you don't draft him at all. He's not a lottery pick, like all this crap. Like he's just gonna be out of the NBA in a few years. I saw that today. Like, what are you basing these takes on? Like, I just don't understand.
Dude, yeah, I don't know. Dude, it's like hate. There's legitimate Chet hate, man. And like, we talk about Dame getting hate and whatnot, and for the most part, I could ignore it because it's like other fan bases and whatnot. But this is like a lot of Blazer fans and stuff saying this, so I can't ignore it on Twitter. It's like, this is for me, this is more annoying than Dame hate. I don't know why, but like this Chet hate is more annoying than Dame hate.
I mean, it's both annoying to me, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's both annoying, but it's like people, I don't understand why Chet gets hate. It's ridiculous to me. And it's like it's not based on his game.
Mm-hmm.
None of it is based on his game. It's like all the hate that I see, none of it is like, oh yeah, that person watched him play. Right? And I mean, just like my interaction with Chet doing a couple weeks ago, man, it just kind of like sums it up for me. He was saying Chet would be a disaster for the Blazers. I asked him how many times he watched Chet. He said, basically, get that crap out of here. I'm not a casual.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, I like go respect that. Sure. Okay. Yeah. He's watched Chet, 5 to 10 times. I don't know how many times he's watched him. So I asked him, like, what do you like about Chet?
Well,
and the first thing he said wasn't about his game. The first thing he said is, white American-born bigs never pan out in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're going to tell me, okay, you're not a casual, as if you've watched him multiple times, and then the number one reason you don't like him is because white American bigs? And you can go to ESPN.com and check Holmgren's player card and figure out within 5 seconds that he's a white American-born big man. You don't have to watch his game to realize that. So how are you going to give me crap for asking me how much you've watched him, and your only reason apparently that you don't want him, or your main reason that you don't want him, is due to his skin color and where he was born. And he's a big man. When, funnily enough, the one championship the Blazers have, Eric, who was the best player on that team?
Well, it was obviously Bill Walton.
It was Bill Walton. A white American-born big man. So...
Well, that was 45 years ago.
I mean, it's just such a ridiculous, like, don't be devil's advocate here. That's just the truth.
All right. Here's the deal, Tori. This is going to indirectly call you out about Keegan Murray.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't mean it this way, but...
No, call me out about Keegan Murray. I'm down to argue Keegan Murray.
Like, I mean, I think you'll admit, this was probably the first full game of Iowa you've watched where you were paying attention to Keegan Murray, right?
The first entire game, but yeah. I've watched 2/3 of a game. I've watched big portions of games,
but not a ton, right? Of Iowa.
Probably 5 or 6.
Okay, because if you make you had a tweet about Keegan Murray today, and I'll say the same thing about Chad's tweet. He tweeted, when you talk about someone in that way, I don't like Chet's skill set, he's not going to be good in the NBA or whatever. It screams to me that that's the first time you actually watched him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what that tweet looked like from Chad. And that's kind of what that tweet looked like from you today. That was the first time of you
analyzing. No, but mine was based.
No, I know.
Mine was based on his game, though. These guys don't even talk about their game.
But if he had been watching him all year, he just watched him today and it validated his take in his mind, even though it didn't.
Even though the dude had 19, 17, 7, and 5.
I mean, I guess they all kind of struggled at the beginning of the game, and they were struggling with the 16 seed or whatever, but I mean, if you look at the overall game he played, I mean, there's no way you could watch him and take away those things. So, like, he went into it with a narrative that he hadn't watched him play, and then he struggled early on, and that kind of backed up his narrative or whatever. And then he rolled with it, and then obviously he didn't play that way the game. So it screams to me, like he said, he's not a casual or whatever. But when you tweet like that about the game today, it just like he was waiting for this moment to watch him finally and then tweet that out.
Here's what's funny is I took Iowa to go to the Final Four, okay, and I thought Keegan Murray is going to be one of the top 5 players in this tournament because I love his game on a college level. I put trust in Keegan Murray. I picked Iowa to go to the Final Four, which now I'm heavily regretting. But my thing with Keegan Murray is, like, if you're gonna be a star scorer in the NBA, like, you gotta be able to take the game over from the perimeter, you know, with the ball in your hands on the perimeter off the dribble. Down the stretch of this game, Iowa struggled offensively in this game. They couldn't hit a 3. They couldn't do much. And down the stretch of this game, Keegan Murray had a couple buckets, like, and one on the interior. But down the stretch of this game, it was like, dude, just get the ball and create something off the perimeter. You know what I mean? I went into this game with a completely open mind, right? I picked them to go to the Final Four. I was rooting for him. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to stick to my opinions. I hope that he proves me wrong. I hope that they win games, and I hope that he leads them, and I hope that I'm at the end of this, I'm sitting here saying, oh, I loved what I saw from Keegan Murray. You know, he showed me what I was looking for from him. Mm-hmm. And he didn't... Dude, like, how often did he create some, or try to create something from the perimeter down the stretch in this game that they lost today?
I mean, that's just not Iowa's offense.
I mean... But at some point, as a star player, aren't you like, give me the ball? Especially when it gets as stagnant as it was, because it was pretty stagnant down the stretch. They were struggling to get good shots. They don't really have players that can go one-on-one off the dribble. They got some shooters, but they don't really have one-on-one players that you can trust, right? At some point, it's like, all right, we're going to give the ball to our star, or our star is going to want the ball and make something happen. Mm-hmm. And well, I didn't see that down the stretch, so it was like kind of the things that I've been saying with him. I was like looking for it, waiting for it, and it didn't happen, and it just kind of like confirmed what I felt.
That's why I said, like, it's obvious you haven't watched him much, because all year he was doing that, and obviously he scored, 23 points a game.
Here's the thing, though. It doesn't mean that I haven't watched him much, because I have watched him. I can watch the bad games from somebody, and you can watch the good games, and it'll probably affect our opinions on him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I promise you, I've watched probably 4 or 5 games worth of Iowa this year. Which maybe isn't as much as you, and maybe it's a small sample size where I didn't see, like, the great games like you did. But, you know, if I want to see, I can go and probably find every play he scored on the entire season.
Yeah.
If I want to.
Well, yeah. I mean, that stuff's available. But, yeah, I mean, he was doing that in the Big Ten tourney, which would have been most of the games you watched, right?
I watched some of the Indiana game, and I watched some of, God, I don't remember. I watched so much basketball during the conference tournaments.
Yeah.
I know I watched some Iowa. It's just a blur for me because of how much I was watching during the tournaments. But I watched a couple over Big Ten conference play. I didn't watch them in non-conference play. So, yeah.
I mean, wasn't that last stream or 2 streams ago that you said you hadn't watched a game? You were just watching, you had watched, like, every bucket of his from certain games or something?
I didn't say that I hadn't watched a game.
Okay.
And if that's what it came off like, that's not what I meant. I haven't watched an entire game of his until today. But I have seen big portions of his games, yes. If you don't want to believe me, that's fine. But I've watched big portions of his games.
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm just saying, like, he has done that the entire season. Like, almost every single game of his, he has done that. And this game,
score out of the pick and roll.
This is like his worst
create
game
off the dribble
of the season.
Okay, like you're saying, like, create out of pick and roll, buckets for himself, buckets for others, out of pick and roll, and then create off the dribble from the perimeter.
Yep.
Okay, I mean, see, that's the thing. Is like, I try not to get too locked into opinions this early, because like that sort of stuff I can just go and look at footage, like there are people out there that'll group together certain types of clips, certain types of plays, and I can go and look at certain types of plays for the player and see that sort of stuff. So I'll do that after the season. Shoot, I might do that tonight, okay? I might do that tonight. It was just like I was disappointed in him not stepping up to the moment today. And maybe that doesn't mean anything.
I mean, like I said,
I don't know.
All last week he stepped up to the moment. All season he's been stepping up to the moment. It's just like, yeah, one. And I not call that? It kind of scared you a bit since you picked Iowa, but I said a few days ago that when you rely on one star when you're able to pack the zone and you can kind of take a player out of a game, if it's one player, and unfortunately he got taken out of this one. But yeah, it's just tough because this is by far his worst game of the season.
I mean, since I'm being called out a little bit, I got to call you out a little bit. You told me that with like 9 minutes left that there was nothing to worry about with Iowa in this game.
Yeah, you took that seriously.
Yeah, how was I supposed to know if you were joking or not? He said, nothing to worry about. And then they score. Then Richmond.
I said the same thing about Gonzaga, too.
Yeah, you said Georgia State versus Memphis, you troll. There was a lot of people saying Georgia State was going to win that game, though, and I think they might have been serious. Yeah. And honestly, I will say this, I was worried. With like 14 minutes left in the second half, when they were up 2, I was worried. I was like, this could be a nightmare.
I mean, in my defense, Iowa came out after I said that, took a 5-point lead in the second half. It looked like they were going to get it together, and then they fell apart again. But, yeah.
Freaking Iowa, man. Why would I pick Iowa? They never, ever pan out.
You don't like Keegan either, so that's weird that you would
I don't dislike Keegan. It's like gets pinned into I'm this Keegan hater. I think he's one of the best players in college basketball. I wanted him to step up to the moment, create from the perimeter today, and he didn't. Okay, that's a fact. You've watched him more earlier this season, so you've probably seen. I probably have missed the times where he's done that, because I believe you that he has. I was just looking forward, especially today, biggest moment of his season, and he didn't. But that doesn't mean I hate him. That doesn't mean that I don't think he's going to be a good NBA player, because I think that he's one of the safest picks in the draft. I've said this. I think he's one of the highest floor guys in the draft. I just don't think his ceiling is like some star-level scorer, like some over 20-point per game scorer in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, honestly, that's probably selling his ceiling a little bit short, because ceiling should be best case scenario. In almost every player that makes the league, the best case scenario for them is they become an all-star. Because you look at Jokic, Pascal Siakam was taken to 27th. People back then would have said that their ceiling is lower than what they are now. Nobody would have said, oh yeah, this guy being selected 41st during a Taco Bell commercial from Serbia, his ceiling is MVP. His best case scenario is MVP, right? So best case scenario should always be a little bit high. So best case scenario is he is an all-star scorer. I'm not as confident in that happening as other people are. That doesn't mean I don't like him.
I still don't understand what you mean by all-star scorer, because, I
guess I should have, because that's kind of cliche. You're right.
He's probably going to be a better scorer than Chet. Just Chet's better at everything else, right?
Yeah. I mean,
so you could say the same thing about Chet. Chet's not going to be an all-star scorer, so.
I mean, Chet's a big.
I just don't like that. I don't know.
With Keegan, it's more like, unless you can dominate the games in other areas, defensively, pretty much. I don't know what other area you could dominate the game in as a passing point guard, but that doesn't really exist anymore. You know what I mean? You either dominate games as defensively or scoring. There's really no other way that games get dominated, right? Am I missing one trait?
Yeah, I guess playmaking, but yeah, like you said.
Yeah, but that was more of a thing back in the day.
But I mean, you can be playmaking forward.
Yeah, but, there's just two different types of, there's two different types of high-level scorers to me. those guys that can get like 18, 19 points per game, shooting a lot of catch and shoot shots, catching the ball and then attacking closeouts and getting shots that way, getting shots in transition, cutting, whatnot, and guys can score 18, 19, 20 points per game that way. And then there's the guys who you give the ball to and they're going to run your offense. And there's a lot of forwards that are like this, or a lot of, 6'6", 6'7", 6'8" players, even some centers that are like this, obviously with Jokic, with Embiid, with Cat. But guys that you could give the ball to and they can run your offense a little bit. I guess Cat and Embiid don't really run the offense, but you can just give the ball to them and one-on-one they can go get a bucket. Yeah, one-on-one they can go get a bucket. You have to send double teams their way or else, they're going to go off on you. That's a different type of score than the guys that, spot up, catch and shoot, play within the flow of the offense, cut, get buckets that way, that sort of thing. I see Keegan as more of the guy that's going to be like a third scorer, catching and shooting, cutting, attacking closeouts, playing within the flow of the offense, compared to a guy that's like, okay, we're going to give him the ball and he's going to go get us a bucket and teams are going to have to double him and he can kind of carry our offense.
Well, I will say he does have post-up skills. I mean, you saw those 2 buckets late, but so you can get him the bucket and post if he doesn't have like a center on him or whatever. And he does have some dribbling skills to get by bigger guys if they do put a bigger guy on him. So, but honestly, I don't know, because obviously the ceiling for like Jabari and Paulo are those type of players, like get a bucket for us and score, right? But or Ivy too, yeah. So those 3 for sure, right? But outside of that, I don't know if there's many players until you get to that's why I like Mathurin and Agbaji and players like that, to where. But most of the other guys like AJ Griffin, I put more in the, like you said, catch and shoot and cut type category. Chet's kind of hard to put in any category because he's just so unique skill set wise. But trying to think who else is around there. But most of those guys are all in that Keegan Murray category. So I don't understand why. That's the standard for him, but not the others around that.
That's the standard for him because people are putting him 5th, 6th. Yeah. People are putting him above that. Right? And I'm cool with taking him with if we have the 8th and 10th picks, I'm cool with taking him with one of the picks, and then with the other pick, I feel like maybe we should try for an upside guy. And I've said that on previous streams. I'd be more okay with taking Agbaji if we, maybe traded down and took a Jovic, who seems like he has a pretty high ceiling. There's not a ton of guys in that range with a super high ceiling, though, in my opinion. There's a ton of guys that have high floors that I think will probably be really solid NBA players, but I'm having a hard time seeing high ceilings with a lot of guys from 10 on through the first round. I don't know if you agree with that. I don't know if you're the same way, but I see a lot of safe picks. And my whole thing with this team is the Blazers have to raise their ceiling to contention, which means maybe taking on a risk on a guy who might not be good but could be great, right? Might not have a high floor but has a high ceiling, a boom or bust type of prospect.
Well, the funny thing is that's Chet in my mind too.
Yeah.
If we get the high, but people are like, oh, you can't wait for those kind of guys. Why not? I mean, we have a pretty solid team, and if we get that guy to bust or boom instead of bust eventually, then we're set, right?
Yeah. And see, I feel like Chet's floor is a little higher than some people. And that's why, he's a top 2 prospect right now. Because at the very worst, he's going to be a 4 that can block a lot of shots, protect the rim, defend a little bit on the perimeter, and hit threes, and handle the ball a little bit. That's at least a Robert Covington-esque player, right? That's kind of his floor. A bigger Robert Covington. Because Robert Covington doesn't defend guards super well on the ball, but is a team help side defender, rotating over blocking shots, some of his instincts defensively. Hopefully Chet would make less mistakes than Rocco did this year, but, that's kind of his floor for me. I mean, maybe he any player can end up injury prone, so I don't consider that when I'm talking floor and ceiling.
I think the better comparison is someone we didn't really get a chance to see this well this year, but Larry Nance is kind of more comparable. The Robert Covington just seems like a weird player for him.
I mean, I think Chet can shoot better than Larry Nance.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like,
and then he's.
I'm not saying shooting percentage wise, because obviously he could. Well, I mean, technically, I think Robert Covington and Nance's shooting percentage are pretty close.
Yeah,
but,
I guess.
Yeah, so
that might be a better comparison,
like, overall,
because
like,
Nance is a better passer.
Like a better version of him, where he can pass, he can move with the ball, he can has the athleticism to defend the rim as a secondary rim protector, or even be the primary rim protector if you need him to, and then also can kind of shoot over the top of defenses. I don't know. That's
like a good starter in the NBA, though.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
I agree with you. Like, especially the more I watch Chet, and yeah, there's to think that he's going to go to the NBA and just like suck and not be a good player. I think that's completely crazy. I mean, the concerns, if you're concerned about his body breaking down and stuff like that, it's a legitimate thing to have in your mind and to think about with him. But like, to say he's not going to be good unless he like gets rid of that, I think is not true. I think he could be fine even if he never puts on weight, and just because of his skill set being so good. And he's like everything people thought Bol Bol was. Like, it's funny that people compare him to Bol Bol, because like everything Bol Bol people thought Bol Bol was, Chet already is and will be at the NBA. But like, they thought that about Bol Bol, right? Like, everyone loved Bol Bol and wanted us to take him and stuff. And yet with Chet, it's like, oh, stay away from that guy. Don't ever draft him. It doesn't make sense, because he's way better than Bol Bol.
You know what I hate too is if this is just true, and it's sad, and I hate this, but if Bol Bol was white, Chet Holmgren would be compared to him a lot more. Have you noticed that? Like, with certain players, like with white players, they always get compared to other white players. But it's like, why? Because there's like, your skin color doesn't determine how you play. Like, not at all. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that. If Bol Bol was white, Chet would be compared to him a lot more, and he still gets compared to him a little bit. But it's like, I don't know. It was like the idea of Bol Bol, because everybody loved the idea of Bol Bol, but that's what Chet actually is. I like putting it that way. Bol Bol's attitude wasn't good. He didn't have the foot speed, didn't have the good instincts, didn't have the motor. Hasn't come into the league and shot the ball well. Like, I don't know. He's not the same player as a Chet Holmgren, but that comparison is better than like Zach Collins or whatever. Like, in terms of a bad comparison for Chet, in terms of like a bad player comparison, that's better than a Zach Collins. So,
Jackson messaged me saying he said Magic in chat before the stream, or like during the beginning of the stream. So I went back up, and the only thing that Jackson said, I'm in live chat, not top chat, and it said the only thing Jackson said in this entire stream was "Hey."
I mean, yeah, huh? Okay. I mean, right now Detroit's up 2, so we can give them Orlando if you want. I don't know. That's interesting. I didn't see him either.
I mean, I haven't paid attention to GC if he meant that chat.
Yeah, I don't know. The Peyton Pritchard TJ McConnell comparison. Yep. There's 4 games going on right now. We'll probably wrap up the stream very soon, so we can get back to watching those games. New Mexico State's up 10 on UConn.
It will be interesting to see Chet against Jalen Duren on Saturday. Torrey himself will be there in attendance to watch that live. So he'll give us a complete breakdown on Monday. Or actually, you'll have a stream Sunday afternoon, right?
Yeah. I'm going with Connor and Smog. Boys, I'm going to be loud, all right? Fair warning to Connor and Smog. I'm gonna be into this game. I am praying that Chet Holmgren just dominates Jalen Duren. Like it's personal at this point with like the Chet Holmgren stuff. It feels almost personal at this point, man. And with Gonzaga too, because everybody's always saying they choke every year, even though they make consistently deep runs in the tournament every year. They make it to at least the Sweet 16, which is tough.
Well, Memphis is cool too because they're big and athletic at all their forward positions. So
yeah,
that'll be interesting to see how he does against that athleticism.
See, I feel like they'll be more ready for that game. I feel like they just weren't. They didn't take this Georgia State team seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like, once it was like, oh shoot, this is a game with like 13 minutes left, they go on a 20-0 run. You know what I mean? Like, they were playing 4 guards out there, their bigs were in foul trouble, and during the first half, we were just chucking quick threes the entire half. And then it's like, oh, well, we should start feeding our big men, and then Timmy has 22 points and Chet has 19.
So, Antonio says Duren was a man among boys today. So
let's see what he did.
This is kind of my point. So, he had 10 and 11 on 4 of 11 shooting, right?
Yep.
If that's Chet, everyone is killing him, right?
Uh-huh. Only one block.
But with Duren, that's dominating, right? He's a man among boys, right? I'm not specifically calling you an Antonio. I know you're not doing that with Chet either.
No, I know. Yeah.
You're actually favorable towards Chet as well. But
this is what people will do, though. They'll hate on Chet for dropping 19, 17, 7, and 5, and then Duren's game today is like, oh, he's a beast.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it. It's like, I understand, like, I think
like
Duren is a
man. Team.
I do think Duren is a man amongst boys. The dude's a physical specimen, so I agree with you, Antonio.
And he doesn't turn 19 until November. Yeah.
I also realize that Chet is a good freaking basketball player, which is tough for some people to admit. Mm-hmm. It's just like some people have a double standard with like guys like Duren and a guy like Chet. So,
but yeah, this is a very fun matchup. I'm sure Duren will guard Timmy sometimes too, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a 6'9" starting forward. He's kind of skinny, but like I feel like DeAndre Williams is his name. I don't know anything about him. But he might be the guy to put on Chet and Duren on... Or no, he might be the guy to put on Timmy and then Duren on Chet. I feel like that would make more sense. I don't know, though. I don't know. I hope they put Duren on Chet, and we get to see how that goes. But the thing is, like, Chet scores... Chet's not the type of guy to go one-on-one either, like in the post or on the perimeter. With Chet, like, offensively long-term, just to kind of wrap up the conversation with Chet and Keegan, like, I feel like Chet offensively is more of a question mark long-term, which might work in his favor in terms of, like, projecting him to have a higher ceiling. Might make him have a lower floor. But, like, I feel like I'm more confident in terms of, like, what I think Keegan will be than what I think Chet will be offensively.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Chet's a question mark offensively. All I know is that he can shoot, and he will be a really, really good defensive player. And that, it will take you a long way in the NBA. Like, that as a floor is really, really good. Mm-hmm. And then he has, like, the agility and, like, the ball handling, flashes of passing ability where it's like, okay, you get him in the right system that can develop that. And he's still, you know, a teenager. I think he'll be 20 before the draft, but right now he's still a teenager. Like, you get the right coach to develop that, sky's the limit, right? So,
I mean, that's literally all Jaren Jackson does is shoot threes and plays defense, right?
And he's not efficient either, though. That's the thing, is he's shooting like 32% from 3. So, but like, you know, he's starting for a team that's doing really well right now. But it's like, you see Memphis with, like, Jackson's a big 4, right? That can play on the perimeter, that can move his feet.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Mobley is a big 4 that can play on the perimeter, move his feet, shoot the ball.
And skinny.
You look at... Yeah. You know, stronger than Chet, but still skinny, right? Drew Timmy dominated him in the Elite 8 last year, by the way. Which is crazy, thinking back. But, like, you look at the success that Memphis and Cleveland has had this year... Like, they're probably the 2 biggest surprises this year. Memphis was obviously better than Cleveland going into the year, but they're, the 2 seed right now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to get the 2 seed now that Steph Curry's out for multiple games. And then you look at Evan Mobley and what Cleveland has done. I want to see us with a big 4 that can play on the perimeter, shoot the ball, block shots, and defend a bit on the perimeter. Because it's worked out for Memphis and Cleveland this year. And I think that might be the new wave. Because, like, it's skilled big men, right? The league has gone towards skilled big men that can shoot. And I feel like the next wave might be going big and skilled in the front court. Like, still going skilled in the front court, but then, like, instead of, in order to get that skill in the front court, we're going to play a 3-and-D guy, a Jay Crowder at the 4, or a 6'8", 6'9" guy that can dribble and shoot. Going out and finding 7-footers that can play the 4, or a guy that's 7'1" like Chet that can play the 4 and do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's, like, I don't know, because it worked for Memphis and Cleveland. So that's why I want Chet, because I want to see how that work, and I want to see how that mesh with Nurkic. And imagine Nurkic short rolling and throwing lobs to Chet.
Yeah.
Or Chet short rolling and throwing lobs to Nurkic, or something like that. Like, that's what I want to see. Or shoot, honestly, if we got the 2nd and 9th picks, I'd be down to get Chet and Duran. And then long term, see how those two fit together. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Yep. So before we go, just to update those who aren't paying attention to college basketball right now, New Mexico State up 10 on UConn at the half. Kentucky tied with the 15-seeded St. Peter's with 25 seconds left. Might be half now. And
that's
then
half for me. Yep. One of the teams I didn't trust.
San Diego State up 8 on Creighton halfway through the first. And Indiana, who I think I might have picked them to win this in every bracket I did.
Yeah.
Is up 2 on St. Mary's.
Yeah, I picked Indiana as well. I picked Creighton to go to the Sweet 16. I'm not feeling good about that.
Is that the Iowa one?
Yeah, that region is going to be a mess for me.
That could be bad, yeah.
Honestly, though, like, our bracket pools, the scores between rounds is a little bit closer, so losing a Final Four team doesn't screw you over. I still have UCLA as my 4 seed coming out of the bottom left region. I don't think a lot of people have UCLA. I don't know. But, like, so if they make the Final Four, then I'm probably fine. I have Arizona winning it all. So it's like if they can win the championship and UCLA makes the Final Four, my bracket's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I have Virginia Tech going to the Elite 8. That was like my bold 11 seed pick. I was less confident in my bracket this year compared to other years, to be honest. But, like if Virginia Tech goes on a run,
you were.
I'm still confident, but, I just feel like my luck's going to run out one of these years and I'm going to crash and burn. You know what I mean? Because I've won my bracket pool like 3 years in a row. So when am I going to lose?
I think I told you this in private, but for some reason I was dumb and had faith in Ohio State. So I have them in the Elite 8. That's like kind of one of my lower seeds that go to the 8. Yeah, so as long as they go, I can actually go pretty far. But I'm the only one in our $20 bracket pool that has Duke winning it all. So
let's look at our $20 bracket.
I think if they win, it doesn't really matter because the points for the championship are so much, right?
The points for the championship are like 42, I think. The points for getting a first round pick right is 3 plus the seed. So it's more even. And I try to make it to a point where it's like still rewards you enough for later picks, but like if you lose a Final Four team, you're not screwed. Or if you lose an Elite 8 team, you're not screwed. And it rewards you for picking the right upsets. So it's more fun that way, and I think it's more rewarding that way. But we can look at our brackets. Let's look at our pool. All right, real quick before we sign off here. Take about a couple minutes. All right. So currently Carson is winning our bracket pool. I'm in third. And you're in third. You're tied for third. All right.
Nice.
Good for you. So
South Dakota State is like the only that Iowa and South Dakota State playing. They both lost. Richmond, Providence. So that's the only part that I've messed up on my bracket so far.
Yeah,
but pretty much everyone did. So because South Dakota State was like probably the main upset pick in terms of like 13 or lower. And then, yeah, everyone pretty much had
A lot
Iowa.
of people had Iowa going far, yeah. So that's the thing. If everybody has the same pick and it doesn't work out, it's not really a bad thing. It's not really an L. I had Michigan over Colorado State. I changed that last second. Figured Michigan's size would win out. It ended up winning out. Yeah, Iowa, man. Oh, God, that sucks. The last time I predicted a 5 seed to make the Final Four, it was right, too. It was Auburn back in 2018. And it was out of this region, too.
Mm-hmm.
So I have LSU. Oh, I didn't switch it to USC. Okay, well, I guess I'll root for Miami. I was 50-50 on this. I just figured whichever team wins this game between USC and Miami will beat Auburn. I meant to have it as USC. Apparently, it's Miami. So, yeah, this was my upset. This was my upset region, in case you can't tell. 5, 6, 9, and a 10 in the Elite Eight. But I always pick upsets. I always have fun with it. It's not fun to just.
So
pick
now you got to root for like Richmond,
yeah,
like one of those teams.
Yeah. So that I don't think anybody had Richmond here.
You hate Auburn and Wisconsin, so I understand. You did that.
I don't hate Wisconsin as much as I hate Auburn in this tournament, but I like Colgate, so. I don't know. And this game is ugly. I talked about this game yesterday. Like this whole region gave me fits picking. I hated picking this region.
Mm-hmm.
They put teams that I like together and teams that I don't like together, and it made it a hard time for me. But I'm riding with Virginia Tech to the Elite Eight as an 11 seed
versus UCLA.
I was like, oh, do I put Kentucky in the Elite Eight or them? And last second, I put Virginia Tech. I was like, screw it, I'm just going to be bold for fun.
Yeah.
And Kentucky's tied at half with the 15th seed St. Peter's. So
you're probably rooting for them to lose, right?
Yeah, I'm rooting for St. Peter's to beat Kentucky right now. Yep. And then Loyola Chicago, I had winning that second round. UAB is one of my sleepers as well.
Yeah, see, I have Purdue beating Kentucky, so I wouldn't actually mind that either.
Yeah, let's go to your bracket. Got Vermont. So you're probably rooting for New Mexico State here, huh?
I mean, I think they can beat either team.
Yeah. I mean, it'd probably be a little easier to beat New Mexico State, though.
Yeah, probably.
I like Vermont. I had Vermont as well. UAB I liked as well. Ohio State. See, like, Ohio State always gets upset and Loyola Chicago always goes on runs.
Right.
So I was like, now it's going to change. It's going to flip this year. But I don't like Villanova a whole lot for a 2 seed. I mean, your bracket's still looking fine.
Yep.
Virginia Tech, Indiana.
Iowa's the only Sweet 16 team I've lost. So.
Yep. I had
But I had them losing to Kansas, so it doesn't really matter.
Did I don't know if I had. Did I like not update a couple picks in my bracket? That would suck if I didn't. Okay, good. I have Delaware beating Villanova, 15 seed over 2. So we'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my boldest first round.
Well, if Ohio State could beat Loyola, that would be good for them too.
Yeah. So I had Loyola beating Villanova, so I said screw it. I went with the 15 seed because that's the thing is our pool is a certain amount of points for getting it right plus the seed. So if you think if you think the 15 seed has a 40% chance of beating the 2 or a 35% chance of beating 2, it's probably better to pick the 15 seed. Especially if you have the 2 lose in the next round. So I went with Delaware. I went with Oral Roberts last year, and that was right, and that was really fun to pick a 15. That game was a lot of fun to watch. So, yeah, those are our couple of brackets. Let's see who's winning our...
the free one?
The free one. Yeah.
Zach said he was third or something.
Did he? He actually got his bracket in, because I looked this morning, and it was incomplete. Or said it was incomplete. Maybe it wasn't. Let me look at this.
Why aren't we at the games at Moda Center right now? Because, well, for me, it's expensive. Also, I have much more fun being able to watch all the games instead of having to go and only getting to watch 2.
We got 5 people tied for first. I'm 8th.
Do you put the same bracket in both?
I made some slight changes.
Yeah.
Just based on like certain upsets and whatnot.
I had Iowa going further in that one, so I'm much more screwed in that one than
I put Iowa in the Final Four in this one too. So I just went with Gonzaga winning it all.
Yeah.
I still had UCLA and Iowa. I just went with Gonzaga over Duke. So it was almost identical. It was very similar. Chattanooga instead of UAB against Arizona in Sweet 16.
I wouldn't go that far, Double E. You said this draft might be the deepest ever, even more than 84 or 2003.
Nope.
That's not happening, but
I disagree.
it could be very good, yeah.
It could be solid. Anyway, yeah, we'll be on Twitter. We'll be tweeting, okay?
And
Follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are right there.
And we'll have our post-game show tomorrow after the Blazers lose to the Nets.
Yep. Go Nets. Anyway, yeah, thank you for tuning in. Good luck with your brackets if you're any bracket pools. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this day's action. We're going to go catch up on things. Hope to see you on Twitter. Whenever we see you next, hope life is good. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.